Hello, middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I am recording from home this week, but I will have this up first thing Tuesday morning. I hope you guys had a good Labor Day weekend and are ready for this next week of school. Since I'm posting this on Tuesday morning, and from now on I'll post on Monday morning, so you'll have it at the very beginning of the week, it's going to be due Friday by 5 p.m. So this week you're actually finishing up the perspective project. So you should have it completely done by the end of this week. By 5 p.m. on Friday, you'll need to have taken a photograph of it with your iPad and uploaded it to Google Classroom. So if you have any questions about how to do that, reach out to me. But you should have plenty of time. Just carve out some time this week to work on it. It doesn't have to be all at once. You can space it out if you just want a little bit of art time every day. That's not a bad way to structure your day. It can be sort of a nice sort of reprieve from other things that are going on. Just carve out a little art time to work on this. So anyway, let me change camera angles and show you what we've got going on this week. All right, so this is not a finished product either. This is a work in progress, but I wanted to show you a few things by doing them in front of you to help sort of enhance your painting here, your oil pastel painting. And I hope that you guys are getting these good and dirty. I know it's always hard for me to like dirty up new art supplies. It's just this sort of like perfectionist thing in me. I like having them all clean. It's not what they're for though. Like just if you have that same sort of tendency, get over it because they're meant to be used. Take the paper off, get them out of this thing if you want. Just dump them in a little plastic container to use. Like stop thinking of them as perfect little color sticks and start thinking of them as tools to make cool things with and have fun with. Anyway, all right, let me show you what's going on. I have a road. I have my sides of the road. I have my farmland blocked in. I added telephone lines to one side of this. And it's the same concept if you wanted to add trees along the sides of the road or a fence or the edges of a bridge if this thing ends up being a bridge. You can do that. You have to do it in a way that abides by the rules of perspective in order to make this a convincing illusion. So let me show you how I did these phone poles, and then you should be able to figure out how to apply that to other things like trees if that's what you decide to put in your picture. So let me show you. So with this, what I did is I used a ruler this time instead of folding my paper. I used a ruler to define some guidelines for the posts of my telephone poles. So I drew one line right here. And as I said before, all lines lead to the vanishing point. So it didn't really matter where down here the line started, but it had to end at the vanishing point. So I had drawn a line right there. And then I came up here. You can still see, I went over it with oil pastel, but you can still see that line right there, which also was sort of arbitrary. I just decided it would go to here, and then I drew it so that it ended at the vanishing point because all lines must lead to the vanishing point. Okay, so I'm going to do that here, and I'm trying to hold this. I don't have my little iPad or iPhone holder thing with me right now because I forgot it at school. So I'm going to try this the best I can. All lines going to the vanishing point. This line, like that. And then another line also ending at the vanishing point, out like this. Okay, so I was able to push down much harder with my pencil, and I've made these lines here and here. All lines lead to the vanishing point. So these were my guidelines, and they're my guidelines over here for the top of the poles. That's going to be this line here, and the bottom of the poles. That's going to be this line right here. Now, if we were to start to draw the poles just freehand, our eye sort of tricks us with this perspective thing here. It makes us sort of want to draw our poles or our tree trunks out sort of diagonally. But that's not what we want to do, because it's not true to what things look like in reality. What we actually want to do is we want to use our ruler and go straight up and down with the bottom at this line and the top at this line, but the ruler, this line, must be parallel in this exactly the same direction as the side of our paper. It needs to be straight up and down. And it's hard for me to do this with one hand, but I'm going to go through and show you. Then you just move this straight up and down. Now, as you move from bottom, foreground, to the top of your picture, toward the horizon line, which is your background, your poles naturally get smaller, they get shorter, because you're going between your guidelines. But they also need to get closer together, if you'll see. Similar to the lines in the road, they get shorter, but also closer together. The poles get shorter, but also closer together. So we're going to draw those series of lines now. I'm going to put the phone down and then show you what it looks like once the lines are drawn. So here are the lines in pencil. And every single time I drew a new line, I had to make sure that my ruler was lined up parallel with the edge of the paper. So I was going straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down. Okay, now I've gone over them with a white pastel so you can see them even clearer. And those are my telephone poles. They got shorter, but also closer together, and I created them using my guidelines. Then you want to go and put in the cross beams on your poles, if you're doing telephone poles, which you certainly do not have to do. And when you put these in, you want these lines to be parallel with this guideline right here, the top. So you can use a ruler for this too. That would have turned out better if I'd used a ruler, because I could have just gone like this. See, I'm not quite right. Everything should be along a line. Everything should be along this line, going towards that vanishing point. So actually, I was wrong when I said that. It shouldn't be parallel. It should not be parallel to this line. To be parallel would mean that it wouldn't end at the vanishing point. What you really want to do is you want to line this up at the vanishing point and then find a good place over here to end it and just draw your lines along there. I really hope that makes sense. Let me know. Drop me a line, set up a Zoom if you just can't wrap your head around it. I will help you. Okay, so let's move on. Again, you know, this can be anything that you want it to be. It can be a river, it can be a road, it can be whatever. You don't have to do telephone poles or trees, but this is how you do them if you want to. And I do want you to add in at least 2 objects, as I said last time, to show that you understand that things are smaller when they are closer to the horizon line and larger when they are closer to the foreground of a painting. So all in line with these rules of perspective and the illusion of depth, decorate this however you want. And then you have your sky. So this is what the second piece of paper is for. You're going to glue the first one onto the second one. So what I did is I just lined up my paper here. I used a pencil to draw a little line, and then I knew everything above this needed to be my sky. And you need to just leave this blank so that you can glue this on there. Paper doesn't glue well to oil pastel, so just leave that clear. And then the other thing I wanted to talk to you about this week was blending colors. It's a lot of fun to do with oil pastels, and it works particularly well with something like a sky, which is always, Florida skies in particular, are just beautiful with colors, especially at sunset. Some amazing sunsets that we get to enjoy every night here in Florida. But for this sky, so far, and I'm not done with it, but I used dark blue, medium blue, light blue, and pink. And I just did layers over layers of these various colors. And now I'm going to add in some clouds. And clouds don't really totally look like this, but this reads as a cloud. And I want to do something fun with the colors. Automatically, when you put white over another color, every color is darker than white. So white is not going to completely cover up anything below it. It's going to blend with it, and it's going to create a tint. And I love tints. Tints are basically exactly this, adding white to any color and making a lighter version of that color. But I also want to bring in some of the colors of the sky on top of this. You know, at sunset when you see those sort of cotton candy colored clouds. That's what I'm sort of going for here. And you can use lots of things to blend with. If you have Q-tips at home, Q-tips are a good tool to use for blending. Your finger is a good tool for blending. The fun with pastels really starts when you start layering them up and smushing them around and seeing what comes of the blending options that you're presented with as you just sort of go on. So I want you to play around, see what happens with different colors. You can practice on a piece of scrap black paper. Of course, if you're going to practice, you need to practice on black paper because nothing is going to look the same if it's on a different base color of paper. So you have plenty of black paper. You can use a spare piece to sort of mess around with. So you can see when I add the yellow to the blue, it makes a green, because that's what happens when you mix yellow and blue. They make green. When I mix the pink and the blue, they start to make a sort of a purple, because that's what happens when you mix red and blue, and pink is just a lighter color of red. It's just pink and red pre-mixed together. And unfortunately, there isn't a nice vibrant purple in your oil pastel set, which I wish there was, because I think purple is just a fantastic color, and it's not easy to get a super vibrant purple. It's possible, I'm sure. If you want to mess around mixing your blues and your pinks and your reds and your whites, you can get some sort of lavender purple. But I really just want you guys to mess around and come up with some beautiful colors in your sky. Again, you can do anything you want in your sky. You can add lightning. Maybe it's a thunderstorm. I mentioned an alien invasion last week. Maybe things are on fire. Maybe it's just an incredible fiery sunset. Maybe there's a blimp in the sky. Anything. Use your imagination. Do something cool. If you have any more questions, let me know. I hope I've explained this well enough. I just want you to do it and have fun with it. And then when you're ready to glue everything together, which I'm not, this isn't done, but I'm going to show you what to do as if I were done. You're going to take your glue stick you're going to put glue all over the back of this. You're going to line this up so that it fits on there perfectly. And then you are not going to push this down this way. You're not going to pound it down. You're not going to smush this down, because if you do that, you're going to smear your oil pastel. And frankly, pounding down glue stick doesn't work. What you want to do is you want to get your glue between this piece, and then you want to flip them both over on your protective surface. I'm using this piece of white paper on this table. And you want to push down from the back side so that when you flip it over, you haven't messed up your painting, but you do have two pieces that are stuck together. And then take a photograph of this, upload it. Again, you need at least 2 objects in here to show me that you understand foreground, middle ground, background. You need your sky, blending colors in your sky, and you need your land leading up to a vanishing point, all of your single point perspective lines. And that is it. So finish this up by Friday at 5 p.m. You need to have a photograph taken and uploaded to Google Classroom to turn this in. And I really look forward to seeing what you made. See you next week. Drop me a line if you need me, okay? You know where to reach me. Enjoy this project. Bye, guys.